Hey everybody, my name is Karthik Ramaswamy and I'm the Chief Operations Officer for UZ Marketing. Today, I have an interesting topic for you guys. It's interesting to me anyway. I personally love this topic because it's been so prominent and prevalent in my life ever since I was like 20 years old. But actually it was taught to me by my dad at age 15. And he told me this. He said, anything that gets measured can be improved. It took me quite a while to kind of grasp what he was trying to tell me. I kind of understood it at the moment, but as I got older, and especially as I started applying it at UZ Marketing, I really started to understand what it is that he meant. Anything that gets measured can be improved. Well, first, in order to improve something, you can improve something without measuring it first, but your results are going to be way better if you're able to measure it first. Let's say, for instance, push-ups, right? This is a weird topic, it's not business related, but maybe people can relate to this, kind of follow my train of thought. Let's say my workout routine is doing push-ups. And while I do push-ups, I'm just pumping out push-ups, right? Just doing it over and over and over and over and over again. And then I don't know when to stop, so I'll just be like, okay, I think I did a lot of push-ups, so I'm good for the day. Now, let's say that that's my routine every single day. And let's say I do X amount of push-ups one day, I do a different amount of push-ups the next day, but I'm not really aware of how many I'm doing because I'm just going based off of like something abstract. Like there's no particular way to gauge how many push-ups I'm doing. Yes, I'm working out. Absolutely, it is building muscle and it's building my core. So that's a given. But how do I know if I'm actually improving, or how do I know if I'm exponentially improving if I don't have my baseline or the benchmark to begin with? And let's say the same example. Let's say next week I decided to start counting my push-ups. So I count my push-ups, I just do push-up, and then I get to 35. Let's say I get to 35. I keep that in my mind, or I write that down somewhere, that I did 35 push-ups this day. So the next day, subconsciously, me as a person, and I know a lot of people out there are like this as well, want to do 36 the next day. Because it's like, oh, okay, I did 35 the day before, so I should be able to do 36 or more today. And this is something that Michael Jordan praised about all the time. He said, always be better than you were the day before. I probably butchered that saying, so I'm sorry, Michael Jordan, don't sue me. Anyway, like subconsciously, that 35 push-ups is my benchmark, and I want to exceed that to at least 36 or above, so I personally know that I am improving. So right there, just by measuring that, it subconsciously kicks in something in my personality to where I want to beat my previous record. So that's just part one, right? And then part two is the fact that if I'm doing 35 push-ups, but all of a sudden I start to get tired at 33 because I'm still sore from the day before, then in my mind, I might be thinking, or like in my mind, before I did the counting, I would have thought to myself, man, I'm good, like I did a lot of push-ups, but now that I started counting, I'm at 33 and I'm about to give up. I realized to myself, wow, previously I would have given up at 33 because I'm tired, but the reality is I didn't do more than the day before. I did less. So it's that train of thought starts kicking in, the measuring and improving. Like I always want to be better than I was before, so I want to do more than I did before. So if I did 35 the day before, I should do 36 or more the day after, right? Now let's translate this over to business. I spent a lot of time talking about push-ups, but I want to translate this over to business because that's what you guys are here for. That's what you are watching this video, and if you purchase from UZ Marketing or you're even in our network, you own a business, right? So let's say, for instance, Facebook ads. Some of you may have done Facebook ads, some of you might not have done Facebook ads, but the general consensus is that people know that Facebook ads exist, so I'm going to use this example. Facebook ads is a very interesting concept. There's so many different data points, right? There's a lot of different aspects of a Facebook ad that goes into it, and it gives you all the analytics of how the Facebook ad is performing. For instance, clicks, which is the number of clicks, impressions, which is the number of people who have seen your ad, and the click-through rate, which is basically the percentage of people who clicked on your ad versus the people who saw your ad. So it's clicks to impressions ratio. Of course, there's a bunch of other data points too, like is your image good, is your ad copy good, is your, the return on ad spend good? But we'll leave those to the side just to focus on the clicks to impressions ratio. Being able to see how the ad performed, let's say for instance, I'm at a 10% click-through ratio, right? Click-through rate, which is actually really good in online advertising. A 10% click-through rate is pretty good. Well, in some areas, I've seen most of ads go to about 3 to 5%, but for the sake of this conversation, let's do 10%. So if I have 100 impressions, a 10% click-through rate means 10 people out of those 100 clicked on my ad and are maybe interested or may not be interested. We're not counting all that stuff, but we're just counting how many people clicked on the ad. I know this number now, this 10% of people have clicked on my ad. So the next step that I would do is to find a way to increase that from 10% to 11%. So now that I have the benchmark of 10% in my mind, my thought is on how can I improve it to get even higher. So if the ad copy was X for the 10%, maybe I'll change it to Y and see how that affects the click-through rate. Let's say, for instance, the click-through rate actually starts going worse. So that tells me what I did on Y copy was worse than X. So I'll revert back to X, and then I'll try to do a different variable. I'll try to switch up a different variable. I'll switch up the image maybe, and once I switched up the image, that brings my click-through rate to 15%. So awesome, I had a marked improvement on the click-through rate, which means that I know for a fact that Y, whatever I did for Y, was not going to work. Whatever I did for X was good, but when I changed the image, it worked even better. So now I have a way of improving, a way of gauging my improvement. And I've been able to identify what works and what doesn't work just between these two things alone. If you have a website, how do you know how many people are coming to your website? How do you know how many of those people that are coming to your website are actually interested? How do you know those who are interested actually took action on your website, like filled out a contact form or a quote request or something like that? All these things is very important for us to know in order for us to even gauge how effective our website is. Websites are wonderful real estate. It's amazing presence on the web that nowadays is very low cost. You can either do it yourself or you can hire a development company to do that. But having a website is incredible. Google Analytics. Many people that I've talked to don't actually know what Google Analytics is. In fact, I've talked to companies who are relatively successful, that I consider successful, a lot of market share, like they dominate the entire market, but they don't use Google Analytics. To me, that baffles me, because how do they know if their efforts are working? They don't. There's no way to gauge how to improve something. They don't know how to gauge what's working and what's not working. There's none of this information is available to them because they're not tracking the analytics. So with Google Analytics, you can see a whole bunch of different things. You can see how people are arriving on your website. You can see what people are clicking when they get to your website. You can see the flow of pages that people take when they are on your page. You can see that they clicked on page, they came to your home page. Once they got to your home page, they went to page number 2, and then from page number 2, they went to page number 3, and then from there, once they got to page 3, that's when they clicked the contact button and filled out a quote request. We couldn't improve this if we didn't even know that was the flow in the first place, right? And let's say 3 pages is too long. We don't want them to wait 3 pages to take that action. We want them to take the action maybe on the first or second page. So we start changing things around on the website. Maybe we make it more effective to make it make the call to action very clear on page 1. So then we can gauge if that's working or it's not working. From there, we can start watching the analytics. We can spend a week, 2 weeks, or however long it takes to get the new data in and see if it's starting to affect it in a positive or negative way. So that's basically, in a nutshell, how to use measurements to improve things. And this is not just for ads, this is not just for Google Analytics. I'm talking, this could be for anything in life, even push-ups, for instance, even something like weight loss, having a benchmark, and then being able to know what your target is. So measuring something is half the battle, but knowing what your outcome is another half the battle. But that's a different topic for a different day. So I hope you guys can use this topic of how to measure something to improve something beneficial in your life, just like how it had benefited me when my dad told me about that. So thanks guys for watching, and see y'all later.